Welcome to the Installing and Configuring Windows Server 2012 R2 course. This will help you prepare for exam 70-410, which is a requirement of the Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate and also the Microsoft Certified Solutions Expert series of exams. Windows Server 2012 was a major operating system upgrade from Windows Server 2008 and 2008 R2. This had a big focus on new features around virtualization, networking, file and print services, high availability, manageability, PowerShell, and many other elements. Windows Server 2012 R2 was a fairly minor upgrade to Windows Server 2012. Then instead of trying to change every aspect of the operating system, focused on a number of key scenarios and brought some very relevant and impactful changes to those areas. The focus was specifically around private cloud. So as you will see through this course, there are a lot of changes around virtualization, but also some of these storage and networking features. This lesson provides an introduction to Windows Server 2012 and Windows Server 2012 R2 core features and where it fits into today's cloud and as a service type offering. During this course, if the feature was new in Windows Server 2012, I will focus on the Windows Server 2012 operating system, which means it's also available in Windows Server 2012 R2. However, if a feature is new in Windows Server 2012 R2, then I will show that feature in the Windows Server 2012 R2 operating system. I will stress that it is only available in Windows Server 2012 R2. Now there is a change with Windows Server 2012 R2 in the release cadence. Previously, the releases of Windows Server had been easily identifiable. They were at a periodic time interval. Every 2 years a new version shipped, with a major version, i.e. Windows Server 2003, then an R2 2 years later, and then 2 years after that the next major version. This has actually changed with Windows Server 2012 R2. As we can see, it's only been 1 year since Windows Server 2012 was released before Windows Server 2012 R2. And this matches the new frequency and cloud focus of Microsoft. There's a lot of investment in Windows Azure and Microsoft's cloud offerings, and that investment is then brought back into the on-premise solutions. This means we are seeing an increased frequency of releases for the on-premise solutions like Windows Server, Windows Client, and now we have simultaneous shipping with things like System Center. So the same day Windows Server 2012 R2 shipped, System Center 2012 R2 shipped as well, enabling Windows Server 2012 R2 to be managed on the day of release. For those unfamiliar with the as a service type offerings, this picture shows the 4 major types of offering. Firstly, we have on-premise, and this is typically where we see Windows Server, applications like Exchange and SQL Server play. This is where the application, the operating system, the hardware, the networking all resides locally on an organization's premises and is managed by local IT support personnel. As we then look at cloud offerings, the first one is infrastructure as a service. And here you can see that the virtualization, the server, the storage, the networking are provided by an external party. They're hosted out there in the cloud. The local organization is responsible for the operating system running within that virtual environment, any applications, and their own data. So it's essentially a virtual machine in the cloud. Examples of this include Amazon EC2, Windows Azure IaaS. Platform as a service provides, as the name suggests, a platform where organizations can write their own custom programs following a set of rules defined by the platform as a service provider, enabling their application to run in that cloud environment. Examples of this service is Microsoft's Windows Azure that allow organizations to write their own custom applications to run on the Microsoft platform, again, hosted on the internet. Finally, we have software as a service. Software as a service provides a complete solution hosted in the public cloud that organizations can subscribe to and therefore utilize. For example, an email service, a document management service, malware protection. Examples of this type of service include Office 365. This course focuses on the on-premise solution, Windows Server 2012 as that foundation, but it's very important to realize that Windows Server 2012 is also used as a foundation by many cloud services, including solutions such as Windows Azure and by many hosting partners. Many organizations will actually use both types of solution. They will have on-premise hosted services running on Windows Server 2012, for example, and also leverage public cloud services. They may even use hybrid scenarios where part of a service may run on-premise and another component may run off-premise, together offering a complete solution. This course focuses on Windows Server 2012, which is predominantly made up of a number of roles and features, which enable Windows Server 2012 to act as an infrastructure server, i.e. providing capabilities using those built-in roles and features, but also as an application server, allowing third-party applications and services to run on the Windows 2012 platform, providing capabilities such as messaging, document management, and line of business applications. The dialog you see here is the Windows Server 2012 Add Roles and Features dialog, and this shows the primary roles for Windows Server 2012 that are provided in Box. Features like certificate services, public key infrastructure, Active Directory domain services which provide directory services capabilities for the entire organization and are used also for a primary identity management solution. Networking services such as Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, domain name services are available in Box in addition to features such as file, storage, and print management. Virtualization, web services, and deployment are all key capabilities of Windows Server 2012 that will be explored throughout this course. Also available are a number of features. And the key differentiator between a role and a feature is a role is considered the primary purpose of a server. i.e., if you were to show someone your data center and pointed to the various servers, you might say that is my domain controller, that is a domain name server, that is a web server. They are the primary roles of a server. A feature is something that helps a server fulfill its primary role. They help it do its job. For example, features include technologies such as failover clustering to help multiple servers jointly offer a single service. Backup capabilities through Windows Server Backup to help protect the data that a service is offering, and various other types of capabilities which again will be explored throughout this course.